the UFC events almost every Saturday. We always let you know on social media. Joining with me, as always, the best combat sports handicapper in the world. He is Mr. Joey Odessa, and fighting out of the city of brotherly love, it is the best sports bettor in the world. Mr. Steve Maltepe is the Philly Godfather, who has, I think, Rooster's bottle of wine.
Now, wait, hold up. He can't afford this stuff, John, because he lost a ton of money on the Chiefs last week. He can't afford the good stuff or the Trioni. He's drinking that Boone's Farm.
For those that don't know, Rooster happened to lose a little bet to Mr. Godfather there, and Rooster claims he's going to pay the $20 bet in pennies sent to the Philly Godfather mansion. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if it is, we're going to film it. And from BetOnline, Mr. Dave Mason. Mr. Dave Mason, who is an integral part of our show, always gives the inside moves, where the odds are, where the money's going. Dave Mason, welcome to the show, as always, my friend.
Thanks for having me once again.
Well, let's get started, guys. We got a huge UFC 258 card tonight. Got some good prelims. Got a couple fights canceled. One calls the guy's an idiot. The other one calls of sickness. And we got a huge main event in Usman and Burns. Let's get started with the first fight. The first fight, at least chronologically wise, listed as per ESPN, is a catchweight matchup. It is Mr. Andre Ewell, who is 17-6. He is a southpaw. He is 7-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 4-3 as far as submissions. He fought 2 times in 2020, winning both by split decision, fighting Mr. Chris Gutierrez, who is 15-3-2, 7-0 as far as knockouts, TKOs, 1-1 as far as submissions. He has a 9-inch reach advantage over Ewell, and he is 5-0 against southpaws. Mr. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the money, and what are the odds, the over/under, etc., please?
Current odds, Gutierrez is minus 125. Ewell is plus 105, over under 2.5 rounds, with the over at minus 215. The money is pretty split. 55% of the cash is on Gutierrez. 67% is on the over. And there is some sharp action here at BetOnline at Ewell at plus 121. Once again, he's currently playing out at plus 105.
Joey, are you with the sharp action on this with Andre Ewell?
Well, this number opened like minus 200, right, Dave? And it's going down. And,
yep.
And you said it opened minus 200. And you said the majority of the money was on who? Was on you or?
It's pretty split. It's 55% of the cash is on Gutierrez.
Yeah, I mean, for the number to move that far from 190 down to 125 over since like February 9th, I like Gutierrez there. I'm opposite that money. I didn't bet it for what it's worth, but I just think that Gutierrez, I like him in this spot. I mean, a very small portion of the money is on the, 5% difference on the dog. I mean, just numbers wise, I like Gutierrez. I mean, you can't bet Ewell now at that price, even if you think he's going to win, because you could have had plus 180, plus 170, plus 150 all week. So it's Gutierrez or no bet.
Philly Godfather, Gutierrez is 5-0 against southpaws. Andre Ewell, the reason that's important, obviously, is he's a southpaw. Does that make any difference to you when you're handicapping a fight like this? And if so, do you like either Gutierrez or Ewell here?
Well, I like what Joey said. Once a price has moved so far, it's all about the number. It's all about the price. And like Dave said, the original number on this was what, minus 200. Now it's minus 225. Now you're getting a deal on Gutierrez, like Joey said. So I would never want to go against Joey, because he's the best combat handicapper in the world. But yeah, I mean, I like Gutierrez here because I think the price is cheap. It's all about the price. If you can get a good fighter at a good price, I mean, you got to fire. But yeah, I mean, southpaws definitely have an advantage. I know in the boxing world, I never did no UFC fighting, so it's a different stance. It's different type of striking. It's different type of movement. So I can't really answer that question, John.
Joey, does it make a big difference here? There's been a lot of talk about Gutierrez, and I don't want to spend too much time on the first fight of the card. Gutierrez, as far as the leg kicks, fighting in a southpaw, does that make a big difference to you?
I mean, I look at these southpaws, and when it all depends on the matchup. I don't think it's going to matter here. I think Gutierrez will beat him. It's a short notice fight, I believe, last minute schedule. And as far as the southpaws, I mean, if you're a southpaw wrestler, you know, and you lead with your right foot, which most guys do. It puts you in the southpaw stance, which a lot of wrestlers used to have the problem. You know, I'm Coach Bagels in it now, but switching, if they were going to, you know, you'd know in the early UFC days if a guy was going to shoot on you because he couldn't shoot on you with his left foot forward. It's actually such a simple thing, and a lot of these guys couldn't do it, and a lot of guys still can't do it. But no, I just think Gutierrez here. I mean, I don't like Gutierrez a lot, but I think he's worth a play. I mean, I just have other interests on this card. You know, I'm not looking to cover the entire thing with
let's
wagers.
go to the next matchup, which is a strawweight matchup between two women fighters, Viana and Martin. Poliana Viana is from Brazil. She is 11-4, 4-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 7-1 as far as submissions. All 11 of her wins have come by finish. She fought one time in 2020. She lost her 3 previous fights to that in 2019 and 2018. Those 3 fights covered those 2 years. She's fighting Mallory Martin, who is 7-3, 2-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-1 as far as submissions. She fought one time in 2020. It was a win by submission in the second round against Hannah Cyphers. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the money and the odds, please?
Current odds, it's almost a pick 'em. Mallory Martin is -113, while Viana is -107. Over under 2.5 rounds, over -200. The cash is 50-50, and 95% of the action is on the under, which again pays out a +160. We do have a little bit of sharp action on Viana at +135.
A little bit of sharp action on Viana.
Yes, sir.
135. I'm taking notes here because before we get the main event, I'll recap all of the fights for you and where either Joey and Philly Godfather picked or where the sharpened public money is. Joey, what do you have on this fight?
Yeah, I bet Martin -135. He said the sharp money looked like it was on the other side at +135. I like Martin here. You know, Viana beat that Emily Whitmore, I guess it was, her last fight, but she dropped, what'd you say?
No, we had somebody come in from iPhone Gotham City. It says
I got a good friend of mine. I got a good friend of mine I invited on the show today, John. Joey's the sharpest handicapper in the world, and this is a good friend. He knows a lot about UFC. I'm not going to lie. I didn't study the card. I got in late, so I really want him to jump into conversation with Joey. I think these two guys together, it's going to be a great show.
Yep. I didn't realize that. That's great. So I'll bring him in after Joey is up. Joey, go ahead and finish, please. You have Mallory Martin, right?
Yeah, I bet Mallory Martin here -1.35. I think she'll beat the Brazilian. A lot of these Brazilians have had some success in the bubble, and I like under here. I like under in this fight. People, you know, people are. I'm opposite everybody. It appears with Martin, but I like Martin here. I think she'll win.
Did you bet the under on this, Joey?
Yeah, I bet the under as well. Under 2.5 plus. What did I take? +175, I believe.
Good price.
Was that
Philly Godfather, would you introduce your guest, please?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. His name is Gotham City. He's real sharp. We talk about football, basketball, and he's he's a lot sharper than I am in UFC. And Joey's the sharpest in the world. So I figured I can get both these guys on here just for today, a one-time thing, just to give everyone a treat out there.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, Mr. Gotham City, welcome to the show. Glad that you joined us. You have a position on this fight with Viana and Martin.
I really appreciate you guys allowing Philly Godfather to bring me here today. Love watching the show. Really excited to see all the shows that you do. Really respect what Joey does. He breaks down the fights really well. In this particular fight, I'm with Mallory Martin in this fight at -120. I think this is an excellent price. I think she should be priced about $1.50 or $1.60 in this fight. Don't have any side on the over-under, but Mallory Martin -$1.20 is the sharp side, at least in my opinion.
Thank you, and welcome to the show. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next fight. I'm sorry, Joey.
I said welcome to the show.
Next
Thank you.
fight
Appreciate
is
it.
A matchup I'm looking forward to watching. It is a Palestinian fighter, Bilal Muhammad. He is a huge favorite in this fight, fighting Diego Lima. It's a welterweight matchup. Muhammad is 17-3, 4-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 1-0 as far as submissions. His nickname is Remember the Name. He fought one time in 2020. He won by unanimous decision in that fight back in June against Good. Diego Lima is the big dog in this, 17-7, 4-4 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-1 as far as submissions. He's a Brazilian fighter who has won his last 3. However, his last fight was well over a year ago of October 2019. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the money in the action?
Yeah, Muhammad's currently minus 500. Take back on Lima's plus 375. Over under 2.5 with the over at minus 240. 77% of the cash is on the dog Lima, and 93% is on under, which currently pays at plus 190.
93% is on the under, Dave, and 70. What percent of it's on?
77% of the cash is on Lima, the dog.
All right. And Joey Odessa, what do you have in this fight?
Yep.
Yeah. What's that? I said go ahead and circle Muhammad now. I mean, I don't know how these guys could be looking at value here because, look, when Muhammad was minus like 330, we were talking, remember on the show on Wednesday?
Yeah.
I said, look, I could sit here and say, run out and bet a 4-1 favorite. Well, it was under 4. He was like 380 after the 3. We missed the 3 1/4. It was 380 when I said that. I rounded it to 4. It's now like minus 500 and change out there. They're probably not a parlay at Bet Online that doesn't have him in it. I just, look, Lima he had inactivity, but he's 2 fights before that. He fought super close, and he beat, he beat Okami, Taylor, and Jackson prior to that. Or no, he lost to Okami. Did he lose to them? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's not going to beat Muhammad. Okay, he lost to Okami, he lost to Taylor, and he lost to Jackson prior to beating McGee, Jamu, and with pace with some time off. Muhammad is just going to coast here.
We always mention that Joey Odessa is the best combat sports handicapper in the world. We don't say it with frivolity. He is the best combat sports handicapper in the world.
I don't sound like it. I'm stumbling over my words here. I look at my sheet and I saw a W and looked like an L, and I said, "Are you kidding me?"
That's your eyesight, Joey. That's not your judgment.
Week,
That's a matter of needing LASIK surgery. That's not your.
Yeah, no, it's true. I got glasses, but they're funny looking, so I don't wear them.
So Joey always tells me that he doesn't bet parlays, but however, I am not a professional handicapper, and I'm going to tell you right now, I've got Mr. Muhammad in a couple parlays today. I got him with Vieira, and I got him with Usman. So it's not wise to do that. I don't care. I'm going to have me a case of Coors Light and a pizza and a couple parlay bets tonight because I'm going to have fun watching this card tonight. Gotham City, do you have anything on this fight with this huge favorite, Belal Muhammad?
Yeah, I kind of like what Joey said here. I think he's going to coast in this fight. I think the only way to play it, like you said, is possibly, to parlay the over and the minus 500. Obviously, it's 5-1 and anything can happen. But Belal Muhammad outclasses Diego Lima in every position in this game. And I think that's the only way to truly play it. But I think there's better value on the card coming up that we'll uncover.
Philly Godfather, you got a minus 460 in Muhammad that looks to be pretty surefire win. There's always something can happen. You never know what can happen. But at what point do you decide not to start betting a fighter with odds? Is there like a minus 250? Is there minus 200? Is there something you look at it and say, okay, that's too much?
Absolutely not. If I think that the fight should be minus 2,000 and I'm getting minus 500, you're going to fire. It's all about where you think the fight's priced at, whether it's boxing or UFC. That's irrelevant. Just look at Floyd when he fought, McGregor. You were laying 400. Fight should have been minus 20,000. So it doesn't make a difference. And in this fight, Muhammad, I think it's actually kind of cheap. And if you can parlay, him with a couple other fighters, maybe, Joey like Martin, if you want to tie him in. I agree with you. I got a little gamble in me. You know that. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a professional sports bettor or not. But, you don't have to go crazy with this fight. But you can definitely tie it in. Just nibble a little bit and have some fun and enjoy the fights. Why not?
Keep in mind.
I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there just from the bookmaking perspective with these large dogs. I know I've mentioned it ad nauseum on this podcast, but the books with these large dogs, the books are just about always rooting for the big favorites. I mean, whether it's Floyd Mayweather in boxing, Pacquiao over the years, John Jones, GSP, Anderson Silva, the books just about 9 times out of 10 need that side. Not counting parlays, but with straights. Just about always need those sides, as people are taking what I call kind of lottery tickets. They're taking that plus 300, plus 400, plus 500, a few bucks to win a lot. That's how it goes in fighting. So often with that in mind, you can get a discount. You can get a little bit of discount on those large favorites. They'll come down because the book is putting a little bit of risk management involved. I mean, the most obvious example, and it's an extreme example, but it's the most obvious example, is the McGregor-Mayweather fight, where that should have been 40,000, but there was so much friggin' action on that damn fight, and everybody and his brother and his mother and his mailman were taking McGregor, the 0-0 boxer, against the 49-0 boxer. That book's just had so much damn exposure that you could get such a great discount on maybe the GOAT of boxing or one of the GOATs. So you got to keep that in mind too. You can, like Philly Godfather said, if something should be minus 1,000, you're getting a minus 500. That's value. People always say values. You always see it 9 times out of 10. You see the word value. It's always associated with an underdog,
and that's often.
Exactly.
Dogs
exactly.
with fleas.
Yeah,
We call them dogs with fleas. Anytime a dog has a flea, I mean, it's got value, but it's got no shot of winning. I mean, and that's the biggest misconception in sports betting is, I mean, we lay the wood, we lay the price. If we think we got an edge, we don't care. We don't care what the number is.
Math.
Yeah,
it's all about the number. It's all about the number, man. It doesn't matter if it's what the price is. It's all about the number.
20-1 favorite, Josh Warrington just got knocked out. I believe he got knocked out. 20-1 favorite.
21 favorite. We just jinxed the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, no, 20 just got beat.
Whenever I just said the last 5 minutes, ignore except for just got whacked.
They're up Muhammad.
Sorry, dude.
Well, let's go to another huge favorite, a guy I am looking forward to watching tonight. That's
I couldn't believe it. As you guys were saying it, I'm looking at the screen and I'm going, is that Warrington laying on the fucking canvas? And we're talking about value and shit. And those big dogs never get there. And the fucking biggest dog of 2021 just won. That's funny. Like, you can't make that up. That's funny.
Let's go to another dog, and that is Rudolfo Vieira, who I'm looking forward to watching. He is a 5-time black belt jiu-jitsu world champion, taking on Anthony Hernandez. It's a middleweight matchup. Vieira is 7-0. He is 1-0 as far as knockouts, 6-0 as far as submissions. They call him the black belt hunter. He is fought one time in 2020, which is a sub-1 over Safarov. He's been in the third round only one time in his MMA career. That was back in 2017. He's fighting the sacrificial lamb known as Anthony Hernandez, who is 7-2, has a nickname of Fluffy. That to tell you everything you need to know.
Fun.
To make fun of Mr. Hernandez. Anybody who gets that cage, we respect. But I don't think he's got much shot here, but we'll find out. 1-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-1 as far as submissions. He's fought one time in 2020, and that was a KO first round, Kevin Holland. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the money and the odds, please?
Odds, Vieira is minus 465. Take back on Hernandez is plus 365. Over under 1.5, with over paying plus 120. Actually, this is the opposite of what I said like 2 minutes ago, because the favorite, the big favorite's taking on all the cash. 85% of the cash is on Vieira. 62% of the cash is on the under.
This 31-year-old from Brazil, Joey, looks like a stud. Is he? The Vieira?
He's a beast, man. He's 7-0 in MMA. He's like his grappling record is 68-1. I'm looking at it. He won Abu Dhabi, the absolute divisions, 98 kilograms. I think he's been 94 kilograms anyway. He's 100 kilograms. I mean, beat everybody all the way up from 2011 to 2014. He's a beast on the ground. Hernandez, I guess, is a sacrificial lamb. The only question here is, what would happen if Vieira got hit on the chin? But it's been favorable matchmaking for him, in my opinion, to this point, because a guy like Hernandez only got 4 submissions, can't crack eggs. So I think Vieira just at some point just closes the distance, takes him down, and it pains me because I'm looking at this fight and I'm going, Jesus, the price on Vieira could be a little bit low here. considering Hernandez can't punch, but that's it. How else is Hernandez going to beat him? He's got to catch him, and it's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
You touch anything on the total, Joey? Though it's 1.5 is the standard.
No, it's probably a good total because you got to figure Hernandez is going to try. You'd think Hernandez would try to avoid the takedowns, and I don't know how Hernandez is going to win this fight. I think he's just outclassed on the ground. He'd have to do something. He'd have to cut him. I don't know. Maybe it's an unwinnable fight for Hernandez. The more I look at it, the more I say to myself, how can they? On paper, it's not even competitive.
Gotham City, if this fight goes to the ground, does it ever get back up?
No, I don't think so. If you look at his previous fights, most of them are arm triangle or rear naked submission chokes. And, that's something that I think you'll see Anthony Hernandez come in. I think Anthony Hernandez is going to have to pressure him at the beginning here. And I think you'll see Vieira duck underneath, get him to the ground. And I think he's got a chance to end this in the first round. I don't think that Anthony Hernandez is going to try to play pat on the outside edge. He knows he'll lose that battle because he'll get pressed up against the cage and taken down. I think Vieira is the super side here in this fight.
Yeah, and when you got a guy that can't punch and you got a favorite at almost minus 500, that favorite ain't scared to go in there and bulldoze him and take him down. So
absolutely,
he's going to get hit, but he's just, as long as he's conscious, he's going to close the distance and take him down. I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, Jesus, do I want to go risk 8,000 to steal 2? I don't want to get paid, but I don't think he will. I don't know how Hernandez wins this fight.
It's funny though, Joey. Like if you think of every other market, real estate market, stock market, if you can make 10% on your money, you're going to do it all day long.
Yeah.
Now this has a little bit more risk involved, but at the same time, with the guy that can't break an egg, I might be willing to take that risk. Yeah,
he can't punch. I don't think he can punch. Yeah. And he's been subbed how many times? Well, he's been subbed once and knocked out once. He's got a good win over Brendan Allen, and I thought a lot of Brendan Allen until he laid an egg against Strickland like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. I thought a whole lot of Allen, and which made me almost fall into that trap with Tom Breeze. Those European UK guys, they're hit and miss. Either you're right with them through their streak, or you just shit the bed. Anyways, I'm just thinking out loud.
Billy Godfather, does it affect your handicap in any when you have a MMA fighter with a nickname as a Fluffy?
Yeah, a little bit.
And he had COVID. He had COVID on February.
Fluffy. Who the hell uses that nickname? What are you doing? You're in a cage. Fluffy in a cage? It's oil and water.
You better be a complete badass if your nickname's Fluffy, not a +400 dog.
You gotta have a little Dusty Rhodes. You gotta have a little Dusty Rhodes in you or something.
If it's John Fluffy Jones, then hey, whatever. He can call himself whatever the hell he wants. But this dude.
All right, well, let's get to the main card, and that is a middleweight matchup, and it is Coconut Bombs, one of the best nicknames in sports. He hasn't had a good 2020. He has been an exciting fighter, fighting Julian Marquez. Maki Pitolo is Coconut Bombs. He is 13-7. He's 7-2 as far as KOs, TKOs, 3-3 as far as submissions. He fought 3 times in 2020. He is 1-2. Unfortunately for him, he has lost his last 2. Fighting Julian Marquez, who is 7-2. Another great nickname, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's awesome.
7-2. And better than Fluffy.
Hell yeah.
I like that, actually. Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's awesome.
7-2. He has stopped all 7 of his victories have ended before the final bell. He is 6-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 1-0 as far as submissions. However, he was out the last 2 years to a torn lat. And from his doctor, he said he had never seen a tendon torn so severely. A huge injury. He is coming back after that 2-year layoff, that huge injury to his latissimus dorsi. Dave Mason, Bet Online, where do you have the action and the money and the odds, please?
Yeah, Marquez is currently minus 158. The take back on Coconut Bombs is plus 138. Over under 1.5. Over is minus 165. 66% of the action is on Marquez. 56% on the over. We did take some sharp action on Pitolo, which seems to be common this year. Things like every time he fought, he took on sharp action. Maybe he'll hit it this time, but sharp action was on plus 145.
Plus 145. Joey Odessa, where do you have on this fight?
Well, I would guess that sharp action. I mean, those guys, those West Coast guys, those Hawaiian guys, they usually send it in. I mean, I don't know how much how much sharp action you got from the East Coast, but I noticed in the past when Hawaiian guys are going, they're always on them. I mean, for whatever reason, maybe because of the whole, they build those guys up. You know what I mean? In the videos, Max Holloway, going all the way back to BJ Penn's time. There's another kid from Hawaii they always bet. I don't recall his name off the top of my head, but I mean, they seem to favor these guys. They think they got like iron chins, and they just aggressive. And was it no? It might have been Medeiros. Shit, is it Nancy Medeiros? Anyways, I don't remember. But as far as Marquez, I mean, he did have some time off. His last loss came to that D. Chirico. You remember D. Chirico is the one that dethroned Tyrone Buckley. Yeah, is that what his name is? The Buckley kid. The kid with the spinning back kick.
Buckley, there you go.
Yeah, and anyway, DiCerchio, that's Marquez's last loss. I mean, I look at all things equal here. I got to think that Marquez catches him at some point. Just a good fight, but I'm not going to go bet a guide. It's what is he, 7-2? Marquez 7-3. That's not worth my money against 13-7. No. Pass for me, but I think Marquez will beat him, catch him at some point.
Gotham City, did you have anything on this fight?
I did, yeah. I actually really like Julian Marquez here. I think that if he had not had this injury and not been out of the UFC for the last 2 years, that he would have been minus 250 or higher in this fight, in my opinion. A fun little fact. I love that Joey always gives good little fun little things. Julian Marquez beat Matt Hamill back in 2016. And everybody kind of knows Matt Hamill. He's from my area of Cincinnati, Ohio. And just a little fun fact that he did beat him there. I think that's John Jones' only loss, which really was a DQ. I think that this at minus $1.58 or $1.55 now is really cheap. Julian Marquez is the much, much more complete fighter, top to bottom. Maki Pitolo is tough and does take bombs and blows, but I think you'll see Julian Marquez outwork him and get the win in this fight.
Philly Godfather, you have Maki Pitolo with coconut bombs taking on the Cuban Missile Crisis, who's been out for 2 years with a torn leg.
You say Paige Van Zandt, coconut bombs? Never mind.
I'm going to ignore that.
Come on, JBL. You know better than that.
I know nothing. I see nothing.
I'm glad we're not on anywhere because we've just been thrown off of it.
What were you saying, JBL?
You got a guy with a torn lat. You got a 2-year layoff going against a guy who throws some pretty heavy steam, who doesn't have a great record, but he does come and he comes to fight. Maki Pitolo. Does that worry you about a 2-year layoff like that?
Nah, I think Marquez is a real deal. Now, Pitolo, he's made me money as a dog, and he's cost me money, but the kid always shows up to fight. So, if anything, in this fight, I would take the favorite, and I would go over 1.5 on the total. I think that's you can make some money on both of them because Pitolo's going to come to fight. He's got a lot of heart. He's going to try and extend this, and I think Marquez is just too strong for him.
We go to the next fight, which is a featherweight matchup, which is Ricky Simon. He is 17-3. 6-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-1 as far as submissions. We saw him recently, as in 24 days ago, January 20th, 2021. He subbed in the second round, Gaetano Pirello from Belarus. He is 4-0 at 145 pounds. Fought one time in 2020, which was a win, a split decision over Borg, fighting Brian Kelleher, who is nicknamed Boom, 22-11. He is 8-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 10-6 as far as submissions. He fought 4 times, very busy in 2020. He was 3-1 in those 4 fights. Dave Mason from BetOnline. Where do you have the action, the money, and the odds, please?
Ricky Simon is currently minus 255. Kelleher's plus 215. Over under 2.5 rounds. Over minus 245. 85% of the cash is on Simon. 94% is on the under.
And 90, how much percent was on the under?
94.
Wow.
I keep taking notes for this because just a reminder, right before the main event, we'll go over all the fights and where the public money and the sharp money. Didn't have any sharp money on this, Dave?
No, sir.
No sharp.
No
Joey
sharp.
Odessa.
Come on.
Except for
Ricky
Joey.
Simon. Ricky Simon. I bet Ricky Simon here. This Kelleher, look, people started falling in love with Kelleher when he beat Alcantara. And back, geez, that was all the way back in 2017. I remember the bout, you know what I mean? The love for him. That guillotine choke. If Kelleher doesn't catch Simon in a guillotine, I don't see him beating him, you know, and it's awful for me to just narrow down his method of victory to one thing, but I just don't think he really does anything. You know, how many fights has Kelleher had in his weird? I talked about this with Gabe. Kelleher's had how many fights in 2020? 4 fights in 2020. You know, and he's got 11 losses on his record. That's what those guys are just gatekeepers. You know what I mean? And I don't even know why this isn't even a gatekeeper matchup because I think Simon's a top 20 guy. Kelleher, you know, maybe the lower half of 50, 60, 70. I just don't think Kelleher is that good of a fighter. I think Ricky Simon beats him. I bet it. I laid I laid Ricky Simon minus 235. I think Simon wins this fight. And now it's on the main card too now. They bumped it to the main card. Correct. So I like Simon here.
Dave Mason, you are our resident linguist on this.
I'm not.
I heard in the video it was pronounced Simone. Is it Simone or Simon?
I call him Simon. I'm definitely not a linguist on any of this.
Simon says press enter and win some fucking money.
There you have it. Joey Odessa says it's Simon. Gotham City, you got anything on this fight?
I do. You know, Brian Kelleher, 2 of his losses, one is to Cody Stamen, and the other is to John Lineker. And in the John Lineker fight, to me, this is a very similar fight, in my opinion, because Lineker is very aggressive and active with quick foot movement, and so is Ricky Simone. And I think you're going to see a very, very similar style here that Ricky gets in there and gets him. And I actually think that Ricky Simone wins by KO in this fight. I think this is the second best bet on the card, in my opinion, today.
When you say second best bet, do you mean Simone, Simon, or do you mean by KO?
I mean minus 255 and then a kind of a small 25% bet on the KO in this fight. So, 25% of the value of Ricky Simone.
Simon says, Gotham City says, and Bagel says.
And Simon says he's going to stop his ass. That's what Simon says.
I hope we just didn't McNally this fucking guy.
Nah.
we may have.
He's not the next Conor McGregor, as someone once said.
No, all right. There you go.
Get the guy's leg break and have to put him down. Philly Godfather, you got any thoughts on this fight with Simon Says?
Simon Says. I mean, you got the best in the world, Joey Odessa. You got my good friend Gotham City, who's has to always remain anonymous and is only making a one-time appearance on this show. You got to go with Simon Says.
There you have it. Simon Says. Let's go to a middleweight matchup next. It is the number 9 middleweight in the world, Mr. Kelvin Gastelum, who is 16-6. He is a southpaw. He is 6-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-2 as far as submissions. However, he is on a 3-fight losing streak. He did go 5 rounds, though, with Adesanya, who has knocked out 15 of 20 opponents back in April 2019, so he can take a punch. He is fighting number 15 ranked middleweight in the world. This is Ian Heinisch, who is 14-3, 5-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-1 as far as submissions. He is called the Hurricane, and he is 4-1 against Southpaws. 1 fight in 2020. A win over Meerschaert by KO. And Joey Odessa, you've been joined by the most beautiful member we've had on Follow the Action ever. Tell us who's with you.
This is Jamie. Say hello, Jamie.
Hi.
She came in because Mommy went for Valentine's dinner with my son, and she was left here. And I said, you could come on the show. And she just called me out on it. So she came in, and she just came to say hello. Who do you like in this fight right here? You know how to spell. Here's the deciding fact. This is how we pick things here. Where is this fight right here? Who do you like there? She can't pronounce it, I bet you.
Ian.
Either can we.
Ian Heinisch. Is that what she said? She said Ian Heinisch. That's pretty good. That's better than I do on this show and better than Dave Mason.
Damn straight.
We're way older than you. We're old enough to, well, I am your father, but anyways.
Tell me Tell me you weren't about to say I'm old enough to be your dad.
Yeah, I almost
Tell
did.
me you weren't about to say that.
I
To your
wasn't
daughter.
about to say that. I was not about to say that. No. I bet Heinisch here, and here's my reasoning behind betting Heinisch. It's more of a bet against Kelvin Gastelum, because I was going to bet. I was going to take Brendan Allen to beat Heinisch, and then after Allen got smoked, I said, "Wow." So I went back and I relooked, for whatever reason, I relooked, at Heinisch's career, some of his fights, and I was like, man, maybe I did miss something with this Heinisch. Heinisch would have beat him. I thought I would have got smoked because Allen was a short favorite. This was like November of last year. And this is more of a bet against Gastelum. Look, Gastelum, 170-pound fighter. Look, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not even a nutritionist. I'm not in great shape right now, but I know how to cut weight. And so do, most wrestlers. I mean, it's like a science. And it's not even that difficult because it's like I said with Murchie, it's less in, more out. JBL, you've been in shape a zillion times, not now, but in the past.
What do you mean not now?
Well, you know what I mean.
Not now.
Yo, JBL calls me up once in a while, Joe, and he tells me he's pretending to work out.
I got her ears covered. Go ahead.
No, I just said he says he pretends to work out all the time. He's not working out.
I do pretend to work out. I just move around different machines until people see me, and then I leave. Then I
go to Planet Fitness to tan.
I hit the smoothie bar, hit the shake, and then I leave.
The shake bar. But anyway, Gastelum, this is more of a bet against Gastelum, man. I think he belongs at 170. I think he got lazy when he went up in weight, and I think he's just a lazy fighter. That's what that loss to Till. I think that looks really bad. And then Hermanson after that, if I'm not mistaken, Hermanson lost his following bout after that. And he was never, he was a European guy, was never that good to begin with. Not that Europeans aren't that good to begin with. And he's got the win against Jacare, and that was probably the beginning of Jacare. Jacare kind of fell from grace a little bit. Anyways, I think Heinisch is live here. I don't love it, but I think Heinisch might be able to just impose his will on Gastelum a little bit, maybe out cardio him. I think Heinisch in that bout that he lost to was Akhmedov. I think he won the third round in that fight, and even though that Akhmedov went on to lose to Chris Weidman, in hindsight it didn't look that bad because he won the following bout against, I guess, was it Tom Breeze or Allen? It was one of those guys. But anyways, who I thought was decent. So I'm giving Ian Heinisch a shot here. I hate to say it's a value play, but I can picture Ian Heinisch winning this fight.
Ian Heinisch is the dog. Dave Mason, what are the odds on this? How much of a dog is he? And where is he?
Gastelum.
It's a tough sell. It really is.
Gastelum is minus 194. Heinisch is plus 169 over under 2.5 over minus 260. Gastelum's taking on 57% of the cash, 81% on the under, and we also have some sharp action on Heinisch when it's about 190-ish.
I took 95, yeah, so.
Good for you.
Ooh, I got him.
Gotham City, do you have something on this fight?
I do. I wanted to read real quick the wins that Kelvin Gastelum has. This is very, very, very interesting. Just really fast. So starting in 2013, he beat Uriah Hall, Rick Story, Jake Ellenberger, Nate Marquardt, Johnny Hendricks, Tim Kennedy, Bisping, and Ronaldo Jacare Souza. Those wins were incredible run for him from 2013 to 2018. He didn't fight until mid-19, and he fought Israel Adesanya, that everyone remembers that fight, which was an absolute dogfight. And when I see guys go to war in fights like that, after that fight, they are never, ever, ever the same. Israel Adesanya beat him upside down and around. Then he lost to Darren Till, lost his way against Hermanson, and I think that Ian Heinisch is absolutely the right side here, and I think this is the best dog on the card.
Good point you said there, because I said that earlier in the week about him being, I said Izzy ruined him, and then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I didn't want to say that he ruined him because, but he really did. I mean, he ruined him, and that was a hell of a fight. But
yeah, that 185 class is too big for him. It's a shame that he could never. It's a shame he could never make weight because I think he could have held the belt at 170. I mean, remember that Tyrone Woodley fight? I believe it was. I mean,
yep.
When he weighed in, he was 7 pounds overweight and he was sick and this and that, and that was damn close to a draw. I mean, it was a horrible fight, but still, I mean, the Woodley had the belt for 2 or 3 years or whatever it was. And yeah, it's a shame he could never make weight. And it was definitely a lifestyle thing. Well, I have a story. I have a story. I saw him down here in a bar. He was down here in Latin America doing some kind. It was probably about 3 or 4 months after that fight. And I saw him in a bar down here. He's doing some MMA Latin American thing. So he's down here. He was the, special guest or whatever. He was at the table next to me. I just struck up a conversation. Real great guy. Awesome dude. But, he had a big plate of wings in front of him. I'm thinking to myself, dude, you got to change your lifestyle. You can't just suck weight 6 weeks out. You got to, if you're going to make 170, wings aren't on your menu anymore. You know what I mean? So it's, again, great dude. And, shoving away from the table is tough. But, I mean, I don't want to rag on the guy. But it's a shame because I think he would have held that belt at 170 someday. He just goes up. Yeah, he goes up to 185, and he's just. I mean, you remember that Chris Weidman fight? Weidman looked like 2 weight classes too big for him. Yeah. I mean, and Weidman was shot at that point. So, anyways,
Philly Godfather,
good point.
Against Adesanya, who's knocked out 15 of 20 opponents, he went 5 rounds, and it was an absolute war. And it appears that he hasn't been the same since. Are you fading Kelvin Gastelum as well here?
Well, as a sports bettor, you got to know your strengths, and you got to leave your ego at the door. And you got to know when 2 guys are a lot better than you at what they do. So I'm in agreement with Joey, with Gotham City. I mean, why would I go against these 2 guys? These guys have researched this fight better than anybody. And like I said, as a gambler, you got to leave your ego at the door, and you got to piggyback great information. And this is some of the best information on the world when it comes to UFC.
It is. That's why we do this show. We got the best in the world on it. And next to us up is the semi-main event. It's a flyweight matchup. It is the number 10 flyweight in the world, Macy Barber, taking on Alexa Grasso. Macy Barber is 8-1. She's called the future. She's 5-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-0 as far as submissions. Her only loss was in her last fight. She was a minus 850 favorite to Roxanne Modafferi. She lost by unanimous decision. However, she had a complete tear of her ACL in the first round and fought all 3 rounds. Her last 5 wins have been by KO. This is the first fight she's had since that fight back over a year ago. She's had 1 win that went to judges. That was over Mallory Martin, who we saw earlier. She has taken on Alexa Grasso, 12-3, 4-0 as far as KOs, TKO, 0-0 as far as submissions. She is a Mexican-born fighter. She's fought 1 time in 2020, which was a win, a unanimous decision over Ji-Yeon Kim. She's lost 3 of her last 6, though. 8 of her last 9 have gone to decision. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the odds, the money, etc., please?
Yeah, it's almost a coin flip. Barber's minus 112, Grasso's minus 108, over under 2.5, over minus 245. 53% of the cash is on Grasso, 94% is on the under, and Barber did take a little bit of sharp action around plus 115.
Did you say 94% was on the under?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is currently plus 2.5, over under 2.5, unders plus 195.
That should tell you that a lot of people are liking Macy Barber, I would assume here, Joy, because Alexa Grasso has gone to decision 8 of her last 9. Who do you like here, Joy?
I bet Barber here. Couple things, just numbers wise, if you look at this fight, Dave just said it was a coin flip. You know what I mean? As far as the action, he said 53% was on. Well, it doesn't matter. 53%, and this bout opened with Grasso $1.95. Now I heard some guys. Well, there was some posts on Twitter things, and I guess the UFC show. They said that the odds guys on there said that Barber was the square side. Well, I'm on the square side because I think Macy Barber's going to beat her. I think that and I think the money's right here. I think this bout opened $1.95. Now it's down to pick 'em. It even crossed over. It was earlier at the Westgate. It was $1.15. Barber. I like Barber here.
Gotham City, Barber has 1 loss on her record, and she blew out her knee in the first round and finished the fight. Are you with Macy Barber here?
Yeah, she's had some time to recover from this. She's had over a year, from that torn ACL. And, kind of knowing a little bit about that, I think that's plenty of time for her to kind of get back to, her strength and her movement. But if you go back to the fights previous to that, the Jillian Robertson fight, that was a masterclass in mixed martial arts. That was the TKO, elbow, takedown, finish the fight. And Jillian Robertson, has, some skills. And when I look at this again, I think this is the same thing as earlier, that, Macy Barber at minus $1.20. She should be minus 200 or more easy. I think this is the only reason it's here is just because of her injury and being away, and Alexa Grasso having, that win recently and stuff like that. I think Macy Barber's the side, and I think she finishes this fight. And I think she might finish it early.
Joy and Gotham City, do either one of you like the total on this? 94% of the public is on the under.
I didn't have it marked. Like when I do my sheets, I usually mark under if I have an early lean. Like nothing really made me nothing in this bout made me think that it would go under, even though Barber's got those finishes. Something kept me off it. You know what I mean? And, I don't recall exactly what it was. Maybe it was the fact that Grasso lost those 8 decisions. But what's he showing up there? I missed it.
No, Gotham City had sent me some delicious wine. So
Nice.
I'm breaking it the
I didn't
fuck
know. I didn't know if he had a horse head or something. He was busting my balls.
No. Listen, I was unprepared. Yo, listen, I was unprepared, so I panicked. I said, "Yo, Gotham City, come on the show and save my ass." I didn't do no reading, so it's like I'm just thanking him. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I just bet Barber. I didn't touch the total.
Gotham City, thanks for coming on the show again. Did you have something in the over/under here on this fight?
I don't like being on the side of the public as kind of everyone else in this show does, but I think Macy Barber gets it done. I like the under 2.5 at plus 200. I think it's great price for that. I think everybody's thinking this is going to go to a decision like most typical women's fights do. Macy Barber's a different creature. I think she gets it done early, and I like her.
Okay,
real quick, Gotham City, did you have a take on Gutierrez?
Let's see here. That was the first fight. I don't really have a strong opinion on that. The lean would be with Chris Gutierrez for sure.
Okay, because I want to recap the fights here, and I think I've got notes on all this. And if I didn't, guys, please hop in here and tell me that you had a side or a total on this that I missed. The first fight of the day is Ewell versus Gutierrez. Joey likes Gutierrez, but you did not place a bet here. You just kind of leaned toward Gutierrez.
Yeah, no, I didn't place a bet there, no.
Next fight is Viana, a strawweight matchup versus Martin. Sharp money was on Viana at plus 135. Joey and Gotham City liked Martin. Joey also liked the under in this fight. Next fight is Bilal Muhammad, welterweight matchup against Diego Lima, 93% of the public was on the under in this. 77% was on the dog. And Joey and Gotham City, did you guys place a bet on this other than any type of straight up bet with a minus 460?
No.
Price got away from me. Price got away from me at like minus 3.25, and I didn't think it was going to go all the way up to 5-1. But it did.
Right.
But it got away from me after 3.25. I wasn't going to go away 400 when I missed the early number on a guy. Even though I think he wins.
Next matchup is Rodolfo Vieira, who is 7-0, 5-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. Joey likes Vieira here. Next fight is Coconut Bombs, Pitolo versus Marquez. Sharp money took Pitolo at plus 145. Philly Godfather says he likes the over in this. Joey likes Marquez, and Gotham City bets Marquez. Next one is Simon Says. 85% of public money is on Simon. 94% is on the under. No sharp action to speak of from Dave Mason from Bet Online. Joey and Gotham City like Simon Simone. Gotham City also likes a little nibble on Simone by KO. Next matchup is Ian Heinisch against Gastelum, a matchup of top 20 middleweights. Joey and Gotham City, along with sharp action at plus 190, are all on the dog here with Heinisch. 81% of the public is on the under. Next fight is the semi-main event. That's Macy Barber It's unanimous here. 94% of public is on the under. Gotham City, along with Sharp Money and Joy, all liked the Macy Barber here to win her 9th fight. And Gotham City, you had a bet on the total as well. What was that?
I like the under here with Macy Barber. I think she gets it done. I think she's too strong and too vicious for this fight.
All right, so we're up to the main event, and it is a welterweight matchup, which looks to be a great one. It is Kamaru Usman. The Nigerian is 17-1. He is 7-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 1-1 as far as submissions, and that one loss came back in 2013. He has won 16 straight. Get this. He has not been taken down in the UFC one time. 100% defensive takedowns. Burns is at 50% on the other hand. Usman has 3 takedowns per 15 minutes on average. He does have a 5-inch reach advantage as well. Gilbert Burns is 19-3. The Brazilian is 6-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 8-0 as far as submissions. Drinho is his nickname, which is Portuguese for tough guy, and he is that. He is 5-0 at 170. Burns and Usman, according to Burns, had over 200 sparring sessions together. They being former teammates, they split up and training in different camps for this fight. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the odds and the money, please, for this main event?
Usman, the champ, is currently minus 265. Burns is plus 225. Over under 4.5 rounds with the over at minus 155. 68% of the cash is on Usman. 57% is on the under, which is currently plus 125.
Joey, what do you got in this main event?
I said this all week, and to keep it real simple, I don't think Usman's going to lose a round of this fight. I think they're going to come out, and they're going to get a little sweaty in the first round. And I just don't think that I don't think Gilbert Burns will win a round of this fight for as long as it lasts. And I will not be surprised if Usman puts one on his chin and puts him to sleep at some point. And that's, whatever, going way out on a limb here by saying that. And, if Burns finds a way to win this fight, I'll have egg on my face. But he's not going to sub him, and he's not going to knock him out. So how's he going to beat him? I just don't see it happening. And Burns, he fell in love with his hands a little bit. Look, he beat – if you go back, he beat a lot of guys that – and I can say it on this show because we're not on TV or anything, but he beat a lot of guys that were washed. I mean, Woodley, how many – when you look at Woodley, you're like, Jesus Christ, he hasn't fucking shown up for his last how many fights? Maia, okay, it's great jiu-jitsu, but he knocked Maia out. Big deal. Maia had been knocked out one time before, but I mean, if he subbed Maia, I'd be like, oh shit, maybe he's got a real, maybe Usman is in trouble, but he didn't. Before that, that Russian kid, okay, that kid was tough. That Kachenko, he decisioned him by 3 rounds, and before that, Mercier, OAB, just middle of the road kind of guy, and Hooker, who we just saw get, it can happen to anybody. I like Hooker, but remember, you like Hooker's JV? I remember that. I caught myself there. I caught myself before I said I like hookers. But no, he got knocked out by Hooker. I think that Usman will not lose a round in this fight. I think he's the more disciplined fighter. I think he's the more complete fighter. And I think he's the better athlete. I think that, I think mentally, as far as mental toughness, look, I think that, I don't want to say this because it's been canceled 3 times, but I think Burns is fortunate to be in this spot to be able to fight for a title because I don't look at Gilbert Burns as title material. And, and if he wins, credit to him. I'll come on Wednesday and I'll say, look, man, I was dead wrong on this. I couldn't have got it more backwards, but I do not think Usman will lose a round to this kid.
It's plus money, Joey, to bet the under in this at 4.5 rounds. I believe it still is. Is that right, Dave Mason?
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Is it? It's still plus money to.
Yeah, I mean,
he's doing some more important stuff than listening to this show, John.
What's that?
I said he's a little busy. He's not listening to the show, Dave.
Not true at all. The under's 4.5.
He heard hookers. He started making phone calls.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Busy. It's still early down there in Costa Rica.
120 U.S.
There's one in the next
Costa
room,
Rica.
probably. He's got
What's
an on-deck circle. Dave Mason's got an on-deck circle for I can't, my daughter's in the other room. He's got an on-deck circle.
They got buy one get one free specials down there.
Allegedly.
Yeah, they filed for unemployment when Dave went up.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Joey, are you taking anything on the total here?
No. I just think Usman will win, and it wouldn't shock me if Usman stopped him. In the third, fourth round. I don't know, but I think Usman is just the more complete fighter. I don't know. Maybe Gotham City has a difference there, because there's a lot of people that think this Burns is the next second coming of like a George St. Pierre kind of super samurai, and I just don't see it. Nope.
Gotham City?
Yeah, I have really watched quite a bit of their fights. I've watched the last 6 fights of each of these guys. The one thing that sticks out to me in this fight is that Usman has went to train with Trevor Whitman. And Trevor Whitman is the best coach, in my opinion, in MMA and all of mixed martial arts. And Trevor Whitman has a game plan that these guys follow. He is very precise. He's calculated. I think you're going to see Usman stay long on the outside. He's going to outbox Gilbert Durinho. Burns is not a technical fighter. He is more of a brawler style, kind of a heavy puncher. And I think you're going to see Usman wear him out. My favorite bet of the night is the over of 4.5 minus 155. I just think that when you get two friends like this that fight in the octagon, I think that if someone gets one of the other ones in trouble, it's just not that killer finish that you always see. And I think the over of 4.5 is a great bet. And I think Usman is a fantastic bet too as well, with Trevor Whitman in his corner.
Bartender, Philly Godfather, are you...
What do you want me to say? You got the best in the world. I mean, I'm riding with the best in the world, man. You got to piggyback sharp information sometimes, and that's what I'm doing.
Two former teammates, Usman and Burns, going at it. It could make for an interesting matchup. We're a minute away from being at the top of the hour. We try to finish right at the top of the hour we can. Philly Godfather, you got anything? I always try to beg something from you. You got anything free you can give us in college basketball, NBA, anything you want to, any little gold you want to throw our way?
I bet game 751, 752. I'm a little tipsy, but I bet the over in Denver and Western Illinois. Last night they scored 12 points combined in the first 10 minutes, so they got off to a real slow start. They shot like they were horrible. But these two teams are some of the fastest paced teams in the country when it comes to pace per possession. They don't let opposing teams to get to the foul line that much. They're one of the top 50 in opposing fouls per possession. Great free throw shooting team. So I bet the over here, over 151. I think it's still, I'm looking at the screen right now, you can still get over 52 and, a lot of shops. So I like the over in Denver versus Western Illinois. That's it.
Well, there you have it, guys. There is our UFC 258 special for the best combat sports handicapper in the world, Mr. Joey Bagels, Mr. Joey Odessa, and the best sports gambler in the world, the Philly Godfather. For our friend who joined us, thank you very much, Mr. Gotham City. And as always, Mr.
Good stuff, Gotham. Good stuff, Gotham City.
I appreciate you having me, and anytime I'd be happy to come back on. It's been a real treat today. This is awesome.
Thank you. And for our friend, Mr. Dave Mason down in Costa Rica at Bet Online. Dave's a good friend of ours. He does great stuff on our show, adds a ton of value to us. Dave, thank you very much.
Dave, hold up, John. Dave, do they take Bitcoin down there, those dancers?
Good question.
Answers. Yeah. Hey, I have a question. That dog that's yipping in the background, what's the name? Fluffy? It sounds like a Fluffy. Whoever's dog that is.
God, if Fluffy wins, the other five needs to retire.
Whoever that dog is in the background, that name's got to be Fluffy. That's what I picture a Fluffy being. Whoever has that dog yipping in the background.
Dave gets those hookers on consignment.
Bitcoin.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you guys?
Oh, no.
No one's touched my Bitcoins. Keep your hands on my Bitcoin.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the fights tonight.